going to be multiplying, or it's not multiplying, dividing by one digit, and this one is going to end up having a remainder as we continue. So just a chance to see how to go through the whole process, and then also how to handle a remainder at the very end. Alright, well, we start off looking at 3,230 divided by 8. The very first step is to start to look at the thousands in this case. We're going to want to make 8 groups. That's what dividing by 8 means. You're going to have 8 groups. And you want to give every group the exact same amount. So you're going to see when I start off, I actually have a 0 here, because there are not enough thousands to give every one of the 8 groups the same amount. So since I did not hand out any thousands at all, I subtract 0, and I still have 3 thousands left to hand out, just like I did before. And it's not that we're not going to hand them out. We are going to hand them out. We're just going to hand them out when we hand out the hundreds. When I say hand out, I mean distribute to all of the different groups. In this case, we have 8 groups. Now next, I'm going to hand out these hundreds. I have to bring down the 2 so I can handle my hundreds. And you can see here that I have no thousands yet. The next digit I'm going to put is right in this spot. This is the hundred spot, so I'm trying to find out, well, how many hundreds can I give to every group then? Right now I have these 2 hundreds, but I also have the 3 thousands that I did not hand out. So that's 30 hundreds, 2 hundreds, I have 32 hundreds. So I start thinking about multiples of 8. 8 times 1. If I was to put a 1 up there, I would only have 8. I can hand out way more than 8. I'd like to hand out 32. 8 times 2. If I was to put a 2 up there, and I would have 16 down here. And I can get much closer to 32. I can hand out more than that. 8 times 3. If I was to put a 3 up there, I'd put 24 here. And again, I'm getting closer, but I could get closer to that. 8 times 4 gives me 32, exactly right. So I'm going to end up putting a 4 in this 100 spot. So every one of the groups gets 4 hundreds. You can see I've handed out 32 hundreds then, and there aren't any hundreds left to hand out. So now it's time to start handing out the tens. In order to hand out the tens, I need to bring down the 3. And as I start looking at that, again, the multiples of 8, 8 times 1. Even if I was to put a 1 right there, I would need to have 8 tens to give everybody 1 10, every group 1 10. I don't have that. So I'm going to end up having a 0 up there. I'm going to be giving 0 tens to each group. There are not enough tens to give every one of the 8 groups the same amount. So again, there's a 0 over here because I could not give everyone the same number of thousands. I didn't have enough. I gave everybody 4 hundreds, and now I can't give everybody's tens the same number of tens. I put a 0 there. These tens will still be handed out. We're just going to hand them out when we hand out the ones. Okay. In order to do the ones, I bring down that 0, so now I have 30 ones to hand out. 3 from the tens, 0 from the ones. Together I have 30 ones to hand out. Now every one of those groups gets 3 ones. And the reason that is similar to what I was doing earlier. I've got the multiples of 8. I'm trying to get to hand out 30 if I can. And so I thought if I put a 1 up there, then I would have 8. And that's not very close to 30. If I put a 2 up there, I will have handed out 16, and that's not very close to 30. 8 times 3 gives me 24. That's what I ended up using in this case. I was really close to being able to hand out 4, but that would have been too large. I would have had to have 32, and I only have 30, so I don't have enough to hand out. Now something I'm doing, I like to put a 0 there. Some people will not put this 0 here, but I kind of like to put it there just to make sure that I have a digit above every digit in my division problem. And once I do that, I know that I'm done if I'm going to have a remainder. In this case I have 6 left over. That's called a remainder. Now we can write a remainder of 6. Many times it's put right next to the answer up here, 403, remainder 6. Something else we can do is to have 403 as our answer, and 6/8. I got the 6 from down here, I got the 8 from the divisor, and then some people are able to do simplest form, so the answer would be 403 and 3/4, 3/4. And then something else we can do is actually take it and continue to divide so that we have decimals, and that's something that we'll do later on with our remainder. Alright. A picture of this then. It's right here. Start with 3,230 and divide it up into 8 groups, and they all have the same amount, 403. After doing all of this, there are 6 left that didn't get handed out. So that's the remainder of 6. So mathematically, to see an equation like this, 3,230 divided by 8 equals 403 remainder 6, which means you should be able to go the opposite. If I take 3,230 and divide in this direction, I should be able to start back here and do the opposite. Opposite being multiplying. So that's what you see here. 403 multiplied by 8 gives me 3,224. Take my remainder of 6 here, add that on, and I end up getting right back where I started again. Okay? Alright, so there is dividing by 1 digit and having a remainder.